Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined by the awesome Robert Di Santo, the owner of Stone Tone Products and also the inventor of the Stone Tone granite block. Hello Robert, how you doing, man?
Good, Ofer. Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. We're gonna talk about Stone Tone, about the company, about granite, about Chris Poland and Jeff Loomis. But let's start with some background on the company. How it all started, Robert.
It started from an idea decades ago and finally put it into action. And after a couple prototypes, it was a given that it worked. And got into making guitars, which was really more involved than just the block alone. And then after many years on doing the blocks and different instruments, then I kept reading in all these magazines, big block brass, and all this, And I thought, man, I've done everything except for this block. So here we go. So I made one. I put it in my 2004 Wolfgang, PV Wolfgang. And I couldn't believe the difference, when I'm doing all this complex work where I had to rely on other people that didn't pan out to help me build the guitars and such. And so I narrowed all that down after I worked on pianos, and I did everything but a harp, every stringed instrument practically. And I'm not talking about a sitar, everything from mandolin, violin, viola, cello, acoustic, bass, piano, guitar, then the block. And I can control this. I don't have to depend on nobody other than Floyd Rose, my global distributor, to distribute it. I'm happy manufacturing this. There's over 40 different styles that I have, from the Stratocaster blocks to, I get a lot of people want me to do Wilkinson, but there's a lot of those models that are not applicable because of the way the saddles mount to the top of the block, but there's plenty out there. Sterling by Music Man, PV, Schaller, there's just never ending. I'm 40 plus right now and I'm buried, so I love my job. That's the important part. If you don't love what you do, then what are you doing it for, right?
Exactly. And I know there have been a lot of controversy on the beginning of the business, right? A lot of people have called it snake oil and whatever. And I'll start by saying that I'm a big fan. I got 2 blocks from you, and I learned about them from Chris Poland, who mentioned it in an interview somewhere. And I've also was skeptical, sorry, on first, but the minute I put it on my guitar, I noticed the big difference, the punch, the attack, how the notes kind of come out of your fretboard. And how did you actually connect with Floyd Rose? How did it all come about after there was this big controversy going on?
Well, the guitars, when I was doing the guitars, is when the economy was tanking. That was in 03, 04, 05. The economy wasn't doing too well. So I did all that, and there was so much involved that I decided to back off on the guitars and started doing pianos, which really gave me a lot of insight on the actual mineral composition, how it works, and the people I met and spoke with and worked with, and all that. And then I just decided that I really missed making the guitars. That was really a lot of fun, but it's a boutique item. It's expensive. It's involved where it's far beyond my scope to be a guitar builder by trade, or so a manufacturer in the stone industry than anything. So I felt that I wanted to approach Floyd Rose on making these. So I did. And 2 years later, I get a phone call, and then Floyd Rose is interested. But at the very first, I thought that they weren't interested because they never got back to me, but they needed time to do all their due diligence and all of that. And so they did. And when they showed interest, then 2014 was my first Winter NAMM show with Floyd Rose, all the way up into 2020. And during that time, I've met so many great people. It's insane. Ira Black, George Lynch. I met George Lynch in, I think it was 2015 or 2014, I believe. It was Floyd Rose's 35th anniversary. And Chris Poland was playing. Jeff Berlin was playing with George Lynch and a few other people. And so once we got off the starting plate, basically get acclimated with Floyd and everything, I wanted to have my own booth because being in their booth wasn't happening because I couldn't really do nothing but talk about the product. So then the following year, I got my booth and built up from there. But the snake oil thing, and where everybody's perception or opinion is just that. You know, a lot of them don't have anything to base their opinion on, other than they just think that it's snake oil for whatever reason. They have that right to have that opinion, but they can't prove it scientifically because it's not true. And so, as Chris said, just put it in your hands and you'll know right away.
Yeah, that's what convinced me into getting it, and I was definitely impressed. You want to talk a little bit about granite and tell us like what makes the granite work with the tone and whatever?
Yeah, a lot of guys would say that bell brass is, well, I'll try this block, but it's not bell brass. Well, the bell, the ding dong, all that has nothing to do with how the sustain block is important in the chain of tone. I mean, the way the mineral composition of that material, how it reacts under pressure and vibration is where it's at. So the stone and the granite are both natural occurring minerals, but the natural ore is embedded in the granite or in the rock, and man shakes it out and then brings it to a factory, melts it to make X type of metal. Therefore, now it's man-made. The granite retains all of its natural integrity from when it was created. A long time ago, that's all I'm going to say. It could be whatever you think it is. I really don't get into making claims of this is this one, this is that. Everybody's got an argument. So you think about whatever you want. All I got to say is put it on your guitar, plug it in, then you'll know. End of story. And even Chris Poland says you can spend $85 or $100 on an MXR pedal, and I can guarantee you that this product will do more than an MXR pedal for $85 or $80. I think it's $80 right now plus shipping. So it's under $100. Under $100, it gives you a lot. Let's put it that way. It's
Totally. I think it's one of the things when you put something on your guitar, the guitar is the instrument you're actually playing, you just compare it to a pedal, pedal is an external thing. And so as you said, putting something on your guitar that enhances it, I think as a player, it's much more important than a pedal. Pedal can affect your amp. On different amps, it works differently, but I think the block is universal, right? No matter what guitar you put in, it will amplify it, will make it sound better, resonate better, right?
Yeah. Basically, when the stone is under pressure and simultaneously vibrating, you're moving the atoms within the atomic structure, the way it was told to me from a NASA geophysicist. The more pressure, the more vibration, the bigger the performance. I mean, Chris Poland sent me a wave file not too long ago, and he was telling me about it when he would grab a note and pull up a dive bomb, the note would bloom. And I was like, what do you mean by bloom? He says, well, it would get louder. So he sent me a wave file when they were rehearsing, and sure enough, at the end of the file, when he pulled up on the bar, you could see how that waveform, it got bigger right at the very end, and it was blooming, basically. And that's because you're accentuating more pressure, vibration on the block as you're using that bar, which is increasing the attack of all the energy,
yes, stretching the spring
within the atomic structure. Okay, I get ridiculed so much on this because I don't have the degrees. I'm not going to name drop. Say, talk to this guy. I have nothing to prove to nobody. It works. Been with Floyd Rose for 8.5 years. George Lynch, I'm making Mr. Scary blocks for him on occasion, for his custom bills, not for retail. Jeff's signature's on his block, and so's Chris Poland's. And trust me, these guys would not put their signature on something that doesn't work. It works substantially so well that it gives them inspiration to write new music. I mean, what better inspiration can you get from a product that makes you write better music or makes you want to play? I mean, that's really where it's at for me.
Exactly.
And I'm not a gigging musician, but I like to jam once in a while and play around. But the feedback I get from all my friends and just customers, people I don't even know, they call me out of the blue just to ask questions. I'll talk to them for an hour and explain how it works because I love to talk to people. But, there's a big education thing with this product. It's unorthodox to the industry because everything's metal and wood. Well, 5 most powerful vibrations of the earth is fire, water, rock, steel, and wood. So you take rock as the carburetor, the steel is, overall the block, and then the wood is like the block, the metal is all the components on the engine. So the carburetor receives that energy first, and then disperses it into the wood body. That's why the vibrations are so strong through the neck and body, because the granite retains that energy because it's very stable material, and that's where it's at. Not any granite. This granite doesn't have any veins, doesn't have any fissures. It won't break unless you drop it on the floor during installation or something. It could fracture it, where later it could crack, but it's not cracking. And if it did, we'd just give you another one. I hand inspect everyone before they go to Floyd Rose or before anything goes out the door. I haven't had one come back, and we've moved about 3,000 blocks so far since 2014. And now I have a factory as of this year. Finally got it all together, and I got everything in house. Nothing is outsourced. All 100% made in USA. Always has been, but what I mean is I got my own machines now. So I spent $250,000. And I got what I need, you know. Got to spend money to make money, and I'm not, you know, living like some multimillionaire, corporate greedy, whatever you want to say. I love what I do. I love the fact that this idea came into what it came into, and who's using it, and how it works. It's better than money, really, to be a part of that, and to be a part of a legendary company like Floyd Rose. I mean, they're great. Family operated. They're just great people. Floyd, his wife, the whole gang. Man, it's
for sure. And also,
we have another.
Yeah, and also having such great artists such as, you know, Chris, George Lynn, Jeff Loomis playing your blocks. That's awesome. You want to tell us a little bit, how did you connect with Chris, for example? I'm a big fan of Chris's, first of all.
Well, Chris, I met Chris at the NAMM show, but most everybody else through Facebook. Which led to the NAMM show. You know, you make your connections. Hey, well, maybe I'll see you at the show. And that's how, over the years, how I collected all these artists that are working with me. But Chris was playing at the 35th anniversary for Floyd, and so when he was there, he came over to me, kind of like, "What is this granite block?" And he was kind of real skeptical. He was kind of like, not mocking it, but kind of like looking at it like, "What? For real? How's it work?" He had 20 questions. And so I gave it to him, and I said, "Here, put this on your guitar. Let me know what you think." And that was Sunday, the last day of the show. And so Monday I had business in Vegas, and about 1:30 in the afternoon, he calls me up, and every other word, he was like, "Hey, Rob, it's Chris. I mean, this thing is amazing. I mean, it's amazing." And he kept going on for the first 2 minutes, telling me how amazing it was, because he put it on his least likely guitar, his Yamaha, which was his bang around guitar at the house, not the one he uses in the studio. And he's explained to me all about it, and then he said, "Can you send me 3 more?" So I sent him 3 more, and then after that, Summer NAMM came about in Nashville. And when I went there, it's when I met Jeff Loomis through my friend Scott Gaylor that I've known since I was a teenager, and he hooked me up with Jeff. Gave it to Jeff, same thing. He went back to his hotel, put it on his guitar about 7:30, 8 o'clock that night. He was telling me how impressed he was with how much it was ringing just acoustically without even plugging it in the amp. And so met him the next day on the show floor, and he was like, "Dude, what's in that? What's in that granite? Dude, my guitar is not the same." You know, so it was just, people don't do that because they're getting paid, or, you know, you could tell the happiness or whatever they're getting from the block. It's a whole new level, man. It's a whole new level. Your input, you're gonna buy a $4,000 guitar. It's going to accentuate the quality of that guitar straight to the amp without coloring it with all the generic pedals and effects, which is really what a lot of people do, because they're not getting the true robust signal that they desire from an expensive guitar. So you could take an $800 to $1,000 guitar and put my block on it, and it'll sound better than that $4,000 PRS. May not play as good, but it'll smoke the tone, the tight bottom end, the harmonic structure, the sustain, the attack, all that greatness that you expect in a guitar won't be there. So, you know, I'm sure at some point in time it'll be a standard, you know, to be on every guitar, because I haven't had anybody say, it's okay, you know, but I'd rather play my brass. I mean, hey, I have brass on all my guitars as well. And that's why I looked at to do this back then in 2011, because I thought it's the only thing I didn't do. And look at this thing, you know, I'm like, I'm doing a guitar, and I got these other blocks over here that I do for bass guitars. You know, I got one for this bridge here. This is a pretty good size 6-string bridge.
Amazing.
And that's going to go for that. This baby is going right on there. You know,
nice.
And then block. Now, I put this on a 6-string bass, just not to get off topic here, but the percussiveness and that beat, you know, Oteil Burbage, bass player for the Allman Brothers, played my 5-string bass. At first, he looked at it and thought it was like a Sears Roebuck kind of gimmick thing. But because I was there with people that knew him, he says, okay, I'll check it out. Well, once he played it acoustically without even plugging in, he knew something was going on. Then he took his Fredero, put it on the side, and plugged in this really high-end Italian bass amp. And the percussiveness that was coming out of that thing was sonically over the top. It was killer. And he called it the ultimate funk machine when he got done with it, because all that snapping and popping, all those little nuances were right there. And it speaks so quick that you're not missing anything. And actually, you know, a lot of these players, they forgive their sins by drowning it in delay and other effects and stuff. But the note articulation and note separation of what this block does when it's in your guitar, it makes all those sins come to the surface and you hear them. So it makes you a better player because you be more conscious of what you're doing, because it'll you know, it won't get drowned out. You'll hear it. It'll cut right through the mix. So I do stuff for bass as well as for these blocks here. But this Jeff Loomis block, the first batch is almost sold out.
Tell us about the signature blocks. Also, what is the difference from like the regular blocks? Dimensions, different compounds. Why is it different?
Yeah, well, the rule of thumb is more mass, more pressure, more vibration, bigger the performance. So in this case, there's more mass. You know.
Jeff Loomis or the Chris Paul?
Jeff Loomis is the 5/8 inch thick, and then I have one over here. You can see the Loomis is this one, and you have the.
Wow.
You know what I mean? This guy here is going to probably require a little bit of routing, if any. A friend of mine's got a Charvel. It dropped right in there, had plenty of room in the cavity. Some other cavities are really tight, so you're not going to have to do any routing because you have that bevel for the travel for the dive position, right? It's the width at the very top. Some guitars, they only have maybe that wide of a gap for a block like this to go right down in, and that wood is only about 1/4 of an inch thick. So you need to mark right behind the back of the tremolo and have like a little U-notch out of there just to fit this in, and it goes right in. Chris has these in all his guitars now, and he's like, you know, I knew the notes bloomed when I was using the regular blocks. They're smaller than this, but when I put this on, it was really obvious, you know. And he didn't have to do any routing as well. This just dropped right in, and that was on his Schecters. So
amazing.
You know, different guitars, different cavity sizes is going to depict whether or not he's routing.
And you guys designed it together, like, or it was like you responding to his needs?
Yeah, when I mentioned it to him and asked him what he thought, he was excited. And then he asked, well, if it's going to be thicker, is it going to infringe on the dive travel? Because there's, you know, blocks that they have bigger thicknesses but no bevels. I said, no, definitely put a bevel on there. So I decided what size it needed based on my homework, and what I did is make sure there was plenty of room. And I sent him a couple to check out, and he loved it. And I sent him 4 more, and then I sent him another 2. So he's got 8 so far. Plus he's got 16 of the regular ones, you know. So he was real happy to get his own signature block, just for the sake that, you know, that I asked him, I said, what do you get out of the blocks, really? I says, you know, when you're on tour with Arch Enemy, the PAs are so huge, it's got to be incredible, the feedback and the tone. He goes, yeah, he goes, but really my rig is just a Kemper and 2 monitors. He goes, I don't get to bring my real rig on tour. And the gates, I mean, the mixers are so heavily gated that my mix is pretty much the same as the other guys, you know, Armand. And he goes, but really, I can't wait to get home to plug into my Rev or my Friedman amp, just straight in, just get that raw tone. And it's very inspirational, write new music. And to me, that's the biggest compliment, you know, of all. Yeah, the lows get tight, the mids sizzle, the highs have a nice chime, and and this and that and everything. But when it becomes inspirational to make you want to play more and play better and write better music, it doesn't get no better than that for me. And I'm a part of that, even though I'm not a player. I'm still I'm in that equation, and that to me is where it's at for me. That's what
personally, I say I recorded an album which is about to be released in a couple of weeks, and I've actually recorded the album with 3 guitars overall, and 2 of them at the block. And the lead guitar, this one, the pink one in the background, got the block. I recorded 90% of the lead guitar with this one. You see it's still in. And yeah, it's definitely, you're going to hear it. It's totally popping out. Very, very, very wide harmonics, you know.
Yeah.
The shit is working.
That's the thing. Harmonic structure, I get a lot of people complimenting them on, there were frets that were dead. And now there are harmonics everywhere. And so it's a natural product, we don't make the granite. I just manufacture it, make it applicable. And I slept through science class. A lot of other people did too. And that's why a lot of people don't get it. They'll be against it rather than be for it because it's something they don't quite understand. So, without getting into proprietary information and getting into this big, long, drawn-out saga online and comparisons, there's videos out there. There's waveform files that have been recorded and screenshotted and stuff. Between that and the big $80 when these people are using the $2,000-$3,000 guitar and thousands of dollars of effects and another how many thousands of dollars of the amp, and we're talking about an $80 block. I mean, Floyd Rose has a return policy. If you don't like it within the first couple days, I can't see it taking no more than 5 minutes to realize either you like it or you don't, because you're going to know right off the bat as soon as you plug in your amp. You're going to hear how tight the whole overall tone is. I mean, I don't know.
Totally. And these new signature blocks, they're available on the Floyd Rose website?
Yeah, everything is available at floydrose.com. The signature blocks for Jeff are still available. I think they're sold out of the 42s right now, and they're getting more next week. As far as the mega block goes for Chris Poland, that's going to be probably maybe another month or so until we actually roll that out. I've got most of those blocks done, and it's a good little reserve behind that. But these are all handmade 100% by me. I've got a couple of my buddies help me on occasion here and there. It's over a 33, almost 40 steps to make this block from beginning to end. And so they're limited, If I had 10,000 people, the light bulb went off, and they all wanted one at one time, I couldn't make them for everybody, because they're handmade. I have a factory now, so I'm shooting for like 100, 200 a month, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You just can't cut a raw piece of stone and then and be done with it. You got to cut the holes, you got to glue them, you got to make sure they're the right spread, you got to water jet these holes. Yeah,
it must be a crazy process.
Yeah, I mean, my water jet buddy, when he was helping me with this, if I had to pay the guy what he really was worth, it'd have been ridiculous, man. Water jets are $350 to $500 an hour.
Oh.
We're talking $80 for this. This has a lot of work. But what it's going to give you and what is into this before it even gets on your guitar is incredible. And it's not because I do it. It's because go tell somebody in the stone business. Say, hey, man, can you make me one of these for $5? Like all the guys on the internet. Oh, dude, I'm a tile guy out there. $10, dude. I'll make one for $5, dude. Let me see one. Show me, dude. Where you at, dude? I'll buy you lunch. Come work for me. I want to see $5. Where's it at? I've had dozens of those guys. I haven't seen shit.
Honestly, if Chris Poland uses it, I think it's a big statement. For those of you who don't know, Chris is really knowledgeable about guitars. He's a great tech, He knows his shit around guitars. And for me, when I saw he really praises the product, I said, I got to give it a try. And I think there it ends, just try it out, see for yourself. Like you said, the big $80, we put hundreds, if not thousands of dollars into guitar gear, whatever, right?
And the reason behind all that is to push that signal to that amp. The amp's 3 gain stage, 5 gain stage, triple rectifier. They're squashing that signal. They're trying to push that signal. But guess what? The initial signal coming from the guitar without the block is a gimp. Without the block, it don't have the gas, man. That's why they need that bottle of nitrous of all the Gadget Farm and all this other horse shit to push the signal to make it strong when you can get it naturally from this. There we go. You know what I mean? I mean, I stumbled on the idea because I just wanted to build a guitar, right? When I built the guitar, I put a piece of 3/4 inch on there, which was like this thick, okay? So the whole top of the guitar was like one solid block. So everything that got mounted to it, it sounded great because everything was resonating within that stone. But it was 14.5 pounds. So I said, well, it ain't gonna work. So I got it down to 7 pounds. Still, the guitars are 10 grand. At the time, no one had 10 grand to spend on a boutique guitar. So I critiqued it down to this. And I said, you know what? This does just as good a job. It's affordable. It's lightweight. I mean, this block, this granite block is 1/4 of the weight of what the brass is. Yeah. Oh, you want to put tungsten on your guitar? Oh, okay. 2 ounces tungsten, 1 pound. So that's where people think it can't be. It can't work. How could it be so light and be better than the tungsten? Because everybody's programmed to squeeze all those molecules into the block, and that's how you're going to get that mass and that girth. And it's a man-made process. It's not a natural process. So the atomic whoop ass that's in this from when the Earth evolved is now going to interact with you and your guitar when it's hooked to a bridge with strings vibrating 440 cycles per second, freaking the atoms out in this. That's how it works. It's not about this ding-dong, bell brass kind of thing. It has nothing to do with those kind of tones as far as the how the mineral composition reacts to vibration and pressure. That's basically where it's at.
Cool. Very cool. Hey, all right, Robert, we're coming to an end. We're coming close to the end. You want to tell us a little bit about the future plans for Stone Tone? You've got something in the making?
Yeah, I've had it for quite a while, and I've got a lot of people been waiting is the string through blocks for the Stratocasters. And, you know, when you have a block like this for your Strat, the bar goes in here, I'm eliminating this part, and I'm going to put the push-pull bar that Floyd Rose has, you know, and I'm going to put this collet. I'm going to put this collet through the base plate so that the bar will mount isolated from the block. So you'll just have basically like a string through block without this part on it. So it's going to be a modified Stratocaster bridge that you can't just buy a block from me and install it yourself. You're going to have to buy the whole bridge, which is going to be right around $275. It'll be like $300 to your door. The good thing about this is, you know, it'll have the vintage saddles. This is the 6-hole right here, and then you'll have the fulcrum as well, the fulcrum and the 6-hole. They'll just all have the vintage saddles. If you want to upgrade saddles later, you can do all that whenever you want to. As far as me being everything to everybody, ain't gonna work. I'm gonna be everything to everybody as far as giving you a great bridge. You can switch out the saddles, you can switch out the screws, you can do whatever you want. But as far as the nuts and bolts go, this bridge will be a hot rodded, modified Fender Stratocaster bridge. No one's done anything for the Stratocaster in over 50 years. I'm going to be that guy. And the best thing is that you tell me the gauge strings you're using, I'll be able to pre-intonize the bridge before you get it. So as soon as you take it out of the box, you drop it and rock it. Tack the ground wire spring claw, and you're done. So that's what's coming down the pike. You know, maybe by the end of the year. I keep saying that. People are like, man, you said 3 months ago. 3 more months. It's just that I'm so inundated with all these other blocks. The Strats are they're coming, but I want to make sure I got quite a few before I release it because I don't want to release it on. So
shit takes time, right? Nothing come out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it's all in my time. That's the best part.
Of course.
You know, I mean, that's all we have in life is time. So it's a beautiful thing. And IHOP coffee.
I'm drinking here a smoothie, bananas and strawberries.
Yeah.
For you, it's the morning time, right? Here it's afternoon, almost 7.
For those smooth flicks, huh? That's awesome, man. That's awesome, bro. I'm glad.
All right, Robert.
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. It's been great chatting to you.
Good talking to
And
you.
should do it again, right? Maybe we got some more stuff to expand on next time.
I got a lot of stuff. Just take your pick. Anytime.
Amazing, amazing. I'll be happy to do it again. And have a great day. Guys, check out Robert on Floyd Rose. You can get all of his stuff on the Floyd Rose website. And also where else at?
They'll go to rigtalk.com. That's kind of like my public hub for information, pictures, this and that. Other than my Google listing, Stone Tone products, you can find me there. There's some reviews there that have other customers that have used the block and what they got from it, what they think about it, instead of hearing it from me or from Ofer. Get a wide perspective. See what a lot of different people are saying. Not everybody says the same thing, but there's a lot of interesting content to be able to make your decision if you think it's right for you or not. But I can tell you, over 3,000 blocks, no one's been dissatisfied. So rock on.
Yeah, totally. And again, try it. I think you cannot hate something if you never tried it. I don't like fish, but I've tried fish for like 100 times.
Really?
I can only say fuck fish. I hate them.
Damn.
Anyway, thank you so much, Robert. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.